Hello, everybody. I'm Russell Hill, your host of another exciting episode, but this is a little bit different. Yes, it is WTF, and that is what the fixed ops to all of you. But this is a special episode called Then and Now. And I'm joined today by.
I'm Charity. I'm your co-host today, and
No way.
And there's Nico.
Nico's around. We have Jim Bernasek on the show today. He's the CEO and co-founder of Chameleon Limited. Now, Jim, we've had you on the show before. We've discussed your transition from a fixed operations director to a vendor, and now your venture into AI. So we want to catch up with you and find out what's going on in your world today.
Yeah, Jim, what's happened since then to now? We all want to know.
Well, besides me getting bigger and more round, our company has actually done very well. We have progressed tremendously, and it's all, again, as we had said before, by word of mouth, right? We're just out there to help customers and basically designing anything that we can on the feedback from the customers that will help them get there. So we've been progressing really, really well.
Glad to hear that. I know that this being my third company, we find that, yes, we had a vision of what we thought it looked like. But we also knew, learning the hard way with the first two companies, that when you start rolling something out, then you start getting feedback from the dealers about, wait, what about this? What about that? Shouldn't it do this? Or why is it doing that, et cetera? So, tell us exactly what is going on then in your world today.
So right now we have Time AI, which is our flagship program, which is the fixed operations performance analytical program that we have, and then we've started to develop an outside program from that, which Josh and I are very excited to announce here shortly, which I'll pretty much give you the scoop here right now. Part Sync is something that we're now going to be coming up with, where it's going to be an obsolescence reducer for the dealerships, which is going to be fantastic. And it's the first of its kind on that side.
So this is new?
That's going to be new, correct? Yep.
And does anybody else know about it?
Not yet.
Okay, well, by the time this airs, everybody probably will. So you're safe, and tell them. Well, Charity, you ask.
Well, my next question had to do with entrepreneurship. I'm really drawn to your journey for some reason. From going very hands-on in the dealership to being an entrepreneurial spirit, and you were fairly new at it when we last talked to you. Mm-hmm. And now that it's been a few years, is there anything that you haven't expected or has surprised you in any way?
Oh my God, where do I begin?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot that you haven't expected, right? As starting a new company and, venturing out there, almost everything is pretty much new, right? You can read as many books as you want and follow articles and do all that, but you learn that everybody is different, right? Every business is different, but what I think the most surprising is just more of the personality that has developed from not only myself but the team, how we change and interact with people a little bit more, right? Where it's as a fixed op director, yes, you're designed to help people, grow people, and do things, but you're also more of a I'll use that word manager and not as much a leader in a sense, right? You're managing it day to day. Whereas now the best part that we're starting to experience is how much help we're giving the dealers, right? We're really in a helpful role now, to where it's like, hey, we're there just for you. So you call, you do something. That I think is probably one of the biggest, things that we've learned with this and how to deal with that. I believe the other thing, the unexpected side, is just, it's more of what the dealers want, right? And get out there and see, and talking to the dealers, every dealer that you talk to, there's something that would come up. We'll use the term unexpected, right? And This is how they feel about something. And just the overall help that's out there. which is just mind boggling to me because, everybody that decides, everybody wants to start a company. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, right? But it's taking that actual leap. You need a lot of strength to do that, right? And you need a lot of support. And I was lucky enough to have that support and push from the family side to say, hey, you got to do this. Let's get out there. But once you got out there, just really getting the feedback, but then all of these different, not only entities, but individual people that are just willing to help, whether it's guidance, whether it's, structuring, for money, whatever that is. I mean, just the amount has just been astonishing to me, that we hear all the negative stuff in our social media, everything nowadays and all this stuff. But I tell you, it's been astonishing on how many people have impacted our business that don't even realize they've impacted our business because they didn't intend to, but they really wanted to help, if that makes sense, I guess.
Absolutely.
And that's what to me has been the most astonishing to me, is just how much support is out there if you're willing to accept it, right? And you have to be willing to do things and hear the negative side of it, right? But not take it as a negative. Take it as a, hey, this is something that could help us grow and help us maybe overcome hurdles in the future on that side.
Well said.
Do you think there are some requirements to being an entrepreneur? You may have mentioned a couple slightly there, but in your opinion?
Yeah, I think yes. Number one, you have to have confidence in yourself, right? If you're lacking confidence, it'll never happen. Number two, you have to be organized, because if you're disorganized, then things will get out of hand. Russell, I'm sure you and I have talked about this in the past, right? And it just, you just have to have that drive, the organization, and the confidence in yourself to do it. If you have those three things, then I think you'll have a better chance of success in doing it.
Yeah, I got to tell you, entrepreneurship's not for everybody. You take some big risk. You mentioned something earlier that is really, for me, it was really profound at starting this company. Is my family means an awful lot. You have a lovely wife, lovely family, okay? And like today, for example, she's doing some part-time work for a dealership. And she broke up the day to come home for lunch, to have lunch with me, okay? And I'm stuck on a phone call. Not stuck. I got to have a phone call with a regional Subaru person that wants to put 10 of his stores on our product. And no disgruntled, no facial expressions. She knew exactly what was going on, even though she thought she's gonna have a little time. See, I have a time block every day from 15 to 12:30. It doesn't work. I mean, it does, if I enforce it. But this guy wanted to talk, and my wife was very understanding. That's really important for me, as I'm sure it is for you, because my family means a lot to me, and I can get sideways if that part gets broken, but they rally behind me, my support. And I'm talking all the kids, all the grandkids, everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, family is the key, as we talked on our first episode, I think, a lot about, really, in that sense, because the problem is comfort, right? Everybody gets used to that comfort. And, let's say you're a service manager, you're a service director, parts director, or a fixed op director, right? Of multiple groups, and you're making a good living, right? You got a pretty steady life. Everything is pretty easy for you, right? Now to go and step out of that and have zero certainty that this is going to happen. The only certainty you have is yourself, right? Are you going to make it happen? And if you don't have that determination, forget it. You might as well not do that, right? And get out there and get it. But what I said before, though, is make sure that people understand that you get out there and do it, right? Just try it and understand there is a ton of support. And had I realized that there was a ton of support before that, I probably would have done it sooner. But, you just don't know what you don't know at that point in time. So, yeah, I really feel that, the push from the family, going back to you, my wife has just been fantastic. My in-laws have been fantastic. Everybody just, hey, do this, get out there, get it. We don't care if we got to live in a trailer, we'll live in a trailer. We got to live in a shed box, whatever we got to live in, for a little while to make this happen. It's going to happen.
That's powerful.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jim, I'm kind of throwing you a bone here on this one, but do you think FixedOPS needs to be fixed? And if so, how so?
Yeah, yes, I think there's a lot of stores that do things very well, right? And I think as a whole in the industry, I think the setting is set up for success. But I think where we lack that and what needs to be fixed is the education and the training, right? Because of the fact that we have enough people out there realistically that can do the jobs. But the problem is that we don't give them the actual training and the awareness of what they're getting into to be into this, right? And I think part of that falls with, because the FixedOPS is somewhat very similar to the variable side, where everybody's pay is based on a sale, right? In a sense, you're commission based. Well, commission based, you almost think that, hey, it's either just throw somebody in, they either make it or they don't, because it doesn't really cost me much if they don't make it, because they're based on commission, right? That we got to change that attitude, and we got to bring people in knowing that, hey, they're going to cost us some money in the beginning, right? They're going to cost us this. They're going to cost us, maybe even a disgruntled customer in the beginning, because they're just unaware of what they need to do or the steps that need to happen. But we as leaders should be making sure that we're putting people through a process and training people before they get in there. But let me back up a little bit. I think it starts with the hiring of the people, right? And the position that you're going.
Absolutely.
Look for the people that have the qualities that meet the demands of that position that you're hiring them for, and the drive to do that and the motivation. But a lot of times what we do is we're just so in need of bodies that we just think, oh, let's throw somebody out there and we'll train them, or the advisor or the manager will train them. It just never happens. And that's why our turnover rate is so high. So in a long answer, I guess, Charity, is I think that's what needs to really be fixed, because I think there is a lot of processes and there's a lot of ways in our business that work really, really well. We just got to get everybody to understand them and follow them.
Yeah, I have that is a then and now, because I grew up on the variable side, running stores, and I learned a lot about management versus leadership, because initially I was just a manager. I didn't know anything other than what I was taught, and that you want something done, light a fire in somebody's rear end and get it done. Well, leadership is not that way. Leadership inspires people from within, not from underneath. And I think there's a huge paradigm shift. Perfect timing for us, perfect timing for you. Onboarding is critical, important, not just throwing bodies out there, but making sure they're equipped to be successful, and to let them know that they count, they matter, they make a difference, and they're not just a number or body. But I'll tell you what, that speed is set by whoever oversees that whole organization. And I think they're starting to redefine themselves and understand we can't operate like what we used to. You just can't. It costs too much money. Do you see the same thing too?
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, Charity.
Yeah. Well, I'll circle back around to being a vendor, and
that's a negative word. Negative word.
Is it? What should we call it?
No, we're outside partners. We're outside partners.
Partner. Yeah. Well, thinking about my experience here since we started the company, one of the most difficult things to do has been to educate the customer on the solution, right? And how they don't know they don't need it, or they do need it. And it's a really difficult. Have you found that difficult as well? You're sort of in a similar place as us.
I would say yes, but I would change that up a little bit. It is hard to educate them on the solution. And the reason being is because they're not educated on the problem. They don't understand what the problem is. And if they knew the problem, then they would understand that there is a solution out there, and then they could figure out what the best solution is. But it goes back to what we were just talking about with the education, the awareness, the training of stuff, right? Impact of numbers, what they have and why it's important. Those are the types of things they have to understand the problem first, and know that they have a problem, right? Because you guys have been in, how many times we'll use your marketing side, Russell, how many times you go in and they're like, oh, my retention's really high, I don't have a problem. But if you really dug into that, there might be a little bit of a problem because they don't see it. They just don't, there's that I don't want to see it. And I just don't know what to look at to be able to do it. Right.
Yeah. We were talking about that yesterday. People are motivated by pain and pleasure. So they don't understand the pain point, or they never looked at it the way it might be brought to their attention, which is part of what I can tell people what we do. They say, oh yeah, well, we have something similar like that. No, you don't know what you're talking about at all. And so I hope I say it right. I was talking to Sherry and Patrick about this. So you're home on the weekend, you're doing some honeydew projects, Jim, and you run into a challenge, a problem, an obstacle. And the only thing that'll alleviate that and keep you moving forward for that pain point is you need a drill. So you go to Ace Hardware, Home Depot, or whatever to buy a drill, but you're not really buying the drill just to buy the drill. You have a pain point that was identified, and the drill solves that problem. And until you understand that pain point, people are less hesitant to really be receptive, I think, sometimes, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, you said that perfectly. Yep.
Wow.
It's the whole Wolf of Wall Street with the pen deal, right? And how if to sign something, hey, what's the most important thing that you need? Well, you need that pen to sign it, right?
That's right.
I forgot about that scene.
Yeah.
Data always has the answers, right? And you always hear, well, the data lies, all this. No, data doesn't lie. People lie, right? And it's all about what the inputting in of that data is, right? So the things with us is we live our lives, my whole company, we live our life on basically three things for our system, and that's detect, predict, and act. Okay, those three words are very important to us, right? Because in this business, one of the reasons why I started this business is because the people in our business they don't understand what to even detect in our business that's causing irregularities or negative impacts or even positive impacts on that side, right? They don't know what to detect. And then even if they did, they don't know how to detect it sometimes, right? And I would say a lot of times on that side. So, and then the predict comes in because it's what we want to do is we want to make that data be able to help them learn first and foremost, detect what any issues are that are happening, okay? Then they can start to understand how to detect that on their own. Then the system comes into play where it has the prediction part where we predict things that are going to happen based on the patterns that are in their data, in their store, and the irregularities. But the problem is can we take that detection and now bring it into the prediction side of it? Because it's very important where people always want, and Russell, you've been in this business a long time, people always want that prediction first, right? Okay, that's great. You can have that prediction first, but if you don't know how to detect it yourself and what to detect, prediction doesn't matter.
I think one of the roles we play, Jim, is, we either help alleviate some of the compressed time that our dealers are working with. They're always stretched for time. We're either trying to alleviate that or make it more efficient. So what do you guys do to alleviate for the lack of time that they have while they're working?
Yeah, good question.
Well, most people, when you learn, they have the time. They just don't know how to utilize the time, right? And so we can give them more time, but the problem is if they don't know how to utilize the time that they already have correctly, giving them more time is actually just going to be even just as ineffective as it was before. But what we do is we help them not only give them more time, but we give them that time based on them knowing and being able to see everything about their business. And we go back to, right, it's the solution is a second part of what we do. But I'll go to our flagship Time AI, right? That is identifying your problems. That's telling you what the problems are. So now there's no lack of or unaware of what the problems are. That's what the system does. It tells you here's where the problems are at. Now then we can go in with our other ventures in the company to help people figure out what the solutions are for that. So we're giving them when I say time back, they don't have to go and diagnose anything anymore. They don't have to do any of this stuff, right? It's right in their face. They can see that. Now they can start utilizing that time better to figure out what that solution is. And a lot of times the solution doesn't mean this, is kind of against us as vendors, right? But a lot of times you don't need to hire somebody to figure out the solution.
That's
it's
right.
something that could be very simple and very easy if you just sat back, was organized and looked at every aspect of what's going on. And if you have some knowledge about whatever industry, whether it's the automotive industry or not, you're going to know and you're going to figure out, okay, I got to start here and then start doing this, right? But again, we give them that, so we give them the problems glaring in their face right away, so they can then move on to the best part, and that's the people and the processes, right? Let's get the people fixed. Let's get the processes fixed. Then we can go on and start doing other things.
So Jim, a lot of people that have followed us are going to remember some of then with you, but now we have a bunch of new people added to our following, and thank all of you out there for all the love and support. Why don't you spend a few minutes and let everybody know exactly what it is that you do?
Okay.
Again.
So at Chameleon Limited, what our company is, we have 3 different ventures that are out there. We have our technology side, that is Time AI Vault. Time AI, again, is your full fixed operations analytics performance. It tells you by employee, by every area, financially and performance related wise. Then we also have AI Vault, which is a historical vault for all of your historical stuff, so that way you don't ever lose it. You can't things to go in there. And then we have Warranty AI, which is it's your labor rate, parts rate increases. So we help you facilitate getting those increases that you deserve from the factories on that side. And then we have our CCG side, which is our consulting side, Chameleon Consulting Company. And that's where the people and the process side comes in. And we will help you do that, whether it's remote, whether it's in store. We can help in any aspect of that. So full fixed operations, kind of consulting, analytics, support.
Oh, what you do is a little bit different than a traditional consultant that comes in.
Absolutely.
I'm sure. And you got the process dialed down. So, and do they have to do all of it, or do they just get part of it, or how does that work?
Yep. So we are not a cookie cutter company. So every company that we deal with, it's a different approach, right? It depends on the first thing that we do before we go in and do a demo. Is I always ask is, okay, what are your pain points? And Charity, it goes back to that, the solution side, right? Because I want to know what they feel their pain points are, right? And you'll be surprised on how many people actually tell you they don't really have any. They're doing really well. They're doing good.
I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah.
And it's like, and you look at those, and those are always the ones that have the most pain points. And it goes back to what we said, they just don't want to see them, right? When you have somebody like that. So at the end of the day, we just need to really help people, help them understand everything that's going on, right? In the business.
Is it for everybody?
Yeah, I would say some aspects, yes.
Yeah.
It depends on what aspect of the company you need, right? Maybe you have an analytics program already that you've designed, or you have that is functional and working for you, but you need some help actually building the solutions and figuring that out. Or you might need the actual training side of it, where you need to have somebody trained, where you just can't build the solution and figure it out. Okay, well, we can come in and help you do that, and then you provide the training and you do all that. Or if you need the full aspect, or you already got the solutions figured out, this is what I do. I just don't have the time or the energy to do the training. So
Sure.
Yeah, we can customize any of that.
Well, I was going to, I personally, they might not, or they might already have some semblance of what you do. But as far as leadership and training and processes, every store, at least as I'm experiencing, needs some love, needs
Correct.
some help in that area. And you know that you have a leader that can identify his pain points and be smart enough to say, hey, we could use some assistance. And as they get to know you, you create a really strategic partnership with them. I bet.
Absolutely, most of your best relationships, and it comes from which this part of it was go back to one of Charity's original questions of what surprised you, anything that hurt, anything that surprised you doing this, and I believe it's your best customers are usually the ones that do the best, right? Because they want that edge. They want to be ahead of it before that, right? They do the training, they do the steps that need to be able to figure out what the problems are in that. And those become your best customers when realistically the customers that really need you more are the ones that don't believe they have or don't know the problems on that side.
Yeah, that's a big one right there. There's a lot of those out there too. Probably
Absolutely.
more of those than the other. So you do a lot of word of mouth, which is great. That's really strategic important. And here you are with us again. Quite a bit of time has passed, which means that you're still here. And just listening to you, you've evolved tremendously. So things are going really well for you, and I'm really happy for you. Both Charity and I are really happy for you and all the things that you're accomplishing. It's really great.
Thank you. You've been a big support, and it's been great interacting. I mean, we've talked and had some great ideas flowing past each other, a bunch of times, and you've helped again, one of those support things. There's you. We didn't know each other in the beginning, and I think I called you one time on sales reps and what that was, and you guided me through some of the pitfalls that we're probably going to experience. And guess what? You've been through it 3 times, right? So
yeah,
and
you're going through it.
You've helped, but you've helped us miss some of those or hurdle over them before we actually trip on them, right? And do that because I'm like, oh, remember Russell said this, and we get in there. So
well, just remember, listening to Jim right now. Jim, love you. You're being really great, but I guess I had such an impact that that after that conversation, I hadn't heard from him since.
That's because you trained me so well.
Oh yeah, right. Oh, thank you so much. I'm just going to say thank you with that. Anyway, Charity.
Yeah. Well, Jim, being in a role of entrepreneur and vendor partner, you got to wear a lot of hats. Would you consider yourself a salesman?
I think I'm getting better at that, right? I don't think that I'm a salesperson by nature, right? I love supporting people. I love helping people. I love watching people grow. And it goes back to one of the questions, and I can tell you that when I was hired at this company. And sat down with the CEO and I think I did 12 interviews with this company that when I was becoming a leader for that company, and it was really interesting that the reason they had told me after they hired me that the determining factor that when they hired me is they asked me what my biggest accomplishments were. And this is a true story and I out of my portfolio that I had there tried to be ready for any question they could give me, right? In this interview, and you got, a ton of people in there. And I slid over the paper to the CEO that was talking, and I said right there, and there were 14 names on that. And all 14 of those people had started with me as either a service drive attendant, not even an advisor. And they are all now either in a prominent service director, parts director, FixedOPS director roles. A couple of them are now GMs even at that point in time. And I told them that's my biggest accomplishment in the industry, right? And again, going back on the sales side, sales is a little bit different, right? Because there's a lot of nuances to it. I'm a people person. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to let you know. I'm going to try to help you. So yeah, we're getting better at letting, again, go back to the problems, them understanding the problems.
Yeah.
It's a fine line, right? Because, you're kind of somewhat walking in and telling somebody their baby's ugly. And that's a tough conversation to have, right? And then now you're saying, hey, guess what though? Your baby might be ugly, but I have the makeup now to make it pretty. And that's a tough conversation to have, right? With dealers, right? Because so you have to find that the right interaction with that specific person, because everybody interacts differently or to those conversations. So yeah, it's been fun. I can tell you that I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot from our dealers that we have, and as we've grown, and the more that we have, the more interaction we get from them. We're just consistently learning more and more and more. And that's the best part about my team. Our team that we have, we have our office. When you said that we grew, so we have our office, our whole team now is here. Nick was in Singapore. He's a partner, and he has now moved back. He's been here since February. Yep, February, March, and he moved back in now. So everybody's together, and it's been fantastic. We have meetings, and Josh will tell you I don't care. The support is number one in our company, and every support case that comes through, I don't care if you're just a normal support person that's with us, if you're our CTO, if you're our CFO, everybody gets that support case. And I want somebody reaching out to at least talk to them and get on top of it, right? Because everybody has to feel what they're feeling, so that way we handle it correctly.
That's powerful. I didn't know everybody was together. That's great.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
That's important. So as you have grown, you're very involved in developing relationships with these people. And when you get to a certain point, you just you can't be there for everybody. There has to be people that represent you, support you, know how you think, and know what you're wanting from the support side and stuff. Have you started to let some of those go? And was it hard for you to let go of some of those and let Josh or somebody else handle that or be involved in that? Or do you have a handoff approach? How do you handle that kind of stuff?
That's probably the biggest growth that I've had since the last time we talked and when we started this, right? Because it's your baby, right? You don't want to let anything go. You want to be involved in everything. But I think having our entire team now in the office where we can walk down, we can see who's here, anybody. We have our own conference room. We go in, we have our weekly meetings. Now I trust them enough that they understand that, hey, this is number one. First, it comes is the customer. So does it affect the customer? And if that answer can't be answered no, then we start with that. Then we go on and go there. But I would say Josh would probably be able to answer this. I don't want him to, but I'll say Josh probably be able to answer this more. But yes, support wise, the easiest way to answer this is I've actually had less, because the support team that I have is being called directly by the customer now, when routinely that was my phone, right? It was either my phone, my email, it was always me. But now that the support team has, number one, been educated more on what our company does, because most of our support staff came from outside of the auto industry. They didn't know anything about the auto industry. But what I look for is, I don't care if you understand the auto industry. What I care about is can you interact with people?
Boom.
Can you take care of them? Because I will teach you all the other stuff, right? I will help you get to that level. I'll help you get there. And as they got more confident, they started being able to answer those questions and being done. And they can be confident. But what's important is I'm learning the customers are not confident with them answering the questions, because I'm getting a lot less calls.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Do you have a team of salespeople now, or are you just moving into that slowly?
We are looking, actually right now. We're actually looking for a couple sales representatives for our company. We have not had any sales people besides myself, Josh. Now we have had some strategic partners, right, that are out there that we've worked with that are when I say pushing the system, they're giving the opportunity to their customers to have our system. But no, we haven't had any salespeople, but we are actually looking for some now, because we've evolved enough to where, okay, now at this point, the biggest thing is let's get out there, because we wanted to make sure before we launched, we wanted to make sure that everything was working as we designed it to be working, and we didn't have any issues. We didn't have any of these things, right? So I didn't want to just grow too fast, because then once you grow, you'll lose a customer in a bad experience, right? And if we can't handle that, I didn't want to grow fast enough, even though that hurt us monetarily wise, right?
Yeah.
But we are now at that point. We just launched Dealer Track, so our second DMS. We just launched that, which is actually on your show now, is the first time that people are hearing that. I think Josh is about to launch that next week, the whole announcement. So we're now
That's
Dealer
a big
Track
deal.
certified. Yep. So we're now Dealer Track certified. So, and we've got just sent out, I think, so 23 agreements for pre-signed dealers for Dealer
Excellent.
Track. So yeah, so it's been good.
Yeah, that growing and supporting, it has its moments. Even though you got a solid team, and then you get an influx of, things just start popping and happening, and it's critical. And we've gone through some growing pains with that too, and we know most people do at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to be ready for it, and just it's a juggling thing sometimes.
And Charity, when we talk about vendors and go back to some of the things that surprise, one negative thing that did surprise me a little bit, which shouldn't based on our society and how we do the negative side of it, right, is the negative selling that's out there. And that drives me absolutely crazy, is like, Josh will tell you, anybody in my company that goes out and does it, we do not bash any other company. Every company has something good, right? Whether it's an older system, whether it's a new system, everybody has a reason for why they did it. And there's some specialties in those. Yeah. Highlight those reasons, but at the end of the day, you never knock anybody for not having, or being different or doing this and stuff. That part surprised me, is how much of that is out there on that side.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, go ahead, Cherry.
And I say the same thing as you did, Russell. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, there is a lot of it. I found it to be that way as well. Now, I may say stuff internally to members of the team or hear some talking, but
absolutely,
if a dealer says something, I'll tell you what I know. And there's dealers out there that purposely ask you, and part of them qualifying you and listening further to you, they want to know about the level of character and integrity that I have or you have. And they'll make certain comments about another vendor partner to see if I'm going to play with that. Say, oh, they suck. Okay. And that's an immediate disqualifier.
It should be, at least.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It should be. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Everybody does have something, and I don't want to do that. There's not very many people in our space, really. And I just, I don't bash them. I just don't bash them.
Well, it goes back to what you had said before, when you walk into a dealer and they're like, well, I already have something that's very similar to that, right? Okay. But at the end of the day, when your other vendors, let's talk about competitors and stuff like that, when they talk about, oh, this company, yeah, they don't do this, we do this. How do you know? You have no idea, right? You're just basically trying to sell. And what that leads me, if I was a service director or a GM or anybody, the first question that I would ask them is, you must not have enough good points in your system to sell it, because all you do is feed off the negative side of what they don't do.
Yep.
Right. So, and I tell our team all the time, Josh will tell you, I preach this. I'm like, hey, we don't get into that discussion. We get into, if they ask that question, you spin them back to what we do.
Yep.
And we go back and just keep pushing that side of it. So
yeah,
not to get off tangent on that, but that was something that popped in my mind after you said the whole, that we do this, or we already have this, and so on, like that.
That's huge, and things are evolving really, really fast. Even when, and I didn't learn this till my later years in selling and the art of it. But if somebody's looking at say a Honda Accord, and I was selling Toyotas, which I have, and they come look at a Toyota Camry, they want me to engage them. Well, but I don't engage them. They said, "Don't you want to know what they offered us in payment?" I said, "I don't really care." Well, what about this? It really does. All I want to do is I want to show you the features, advantages, and benefits. You can make your own mind, but I can tell you this, Jim, if you happen to be the customer, I can tell you one thing, okay? I'm not going to miss you over price. Price is irrelevant, okay?
Absolutely.
I can tell you this. You can call this fact find, get an information visit. I want to make sure you're armed with all the decision or all the information you need to make the most intelligent decision for you and your family. But one thing I won't miss you on, if people want to own this vehicle, I don't miss them on price, and I can guarantee you that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And some people, and that's where the art of the sale, to go back to either Charity or you who asked that question, is just understanding everybody needs to be sold differently, right? Some people, it is price. Some people don't care about the price. They just want to know, okay, is this going to, help me in the couple problem areas that I have, right?
Exactly.
And then, hey, because that price, it's worth every penny, even if it's 10 times what you charge now, if it fixed that exact problem.
Yep.
Right.
And another thing I found, you can't really sell somebody that doesn't want to be sold.
Absolutely.
But I found if you ask questions that invoke a response from them, are you here is this for business or is this for pleasure? Are you replacing a vehicle or are you adding a vehicle? Just keep those things going like that. They want to talk to you about it instead of listening to you try to convince them to buy something. They'll tell you exactly what it's going to take for them to do business with you. All you got to do is listen to them, right?
Just listen. That's why we got 2 ears, 1 mouth, right?
That's right. But I still do it anyway.
Yeah, and I got my 9.5-year-old daughter, I keep telling her that, right? I'm like, hey, you got 2 ears, 1 mouth, listen to dad and mom before you speak.
Yeah, okay, dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Let me guess, at this very moment, another vendor is walking up to your lot with something shiny to sell. Before you head back and hide in your office, let me take a minute to tell you about my friend Dawn Pelham and my friends over at Global Dealer Solutions. They exist to help you find solutions to problems, some of which you might not even know you have. Best of all, they can manage as many products and services as needed for you, helping cut down on multiple vendor visits and distractions. And if you need anything, you have one number to call or text for the response all dealers like to hear. On it, GDS understands that successful dealerships require more than a set it and forget it mentality. And they'll be with you every step of the way, from setup, implementation, training, and support. And if necessary, they'll even cancel non-performing products for you. No pushback, no arguments, just a solutioneer executing course corrections as needed. Check out gdsdealers.com to learn the difference and set up a time to meet. Let's see if they're a good fit for you.
First thing I always ask them before we get in, I say, hey, appreciate, you taking the time and they always say, well, I have a system that I pull all this, I do all this stuff, and I get there. And I said, absolutely. So I appreciate you looking at this. And I start off by, what do you like to look at? Okay. What do you like to look at in your day-to-day operations that tell you that, hey, we're doing a good job or we're doing a bad job? And I get what they like to see and what they like to go in. And then I tell them, okay, if I can tell you that, hey, here is exactly, how long does it take you to pull that report and do this? Well, it takes me, I get there about 6 o'clock and by 7:15, I'm pretty much have that report ready to go. So it's there. And I said, well, what if I could tell you that you could see that within 15 seconds? And they're like, no way. And I said, within 15, 30 seconds, you can see not only that, but you can see almost every negative thing about your business on one dashboard right there.
Well, Jim, we touched on this a little bit last time you were here, but I think it's worth going over a little bit again. It might even be more relevant now. Remind us about the true definition of AI and how it's different from automated intelligence, which I think some people mix up, maybe a bit on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that we came up with our name in the beginning because of the fact that what I said is what I wanted was with my partners, we went down this research and development before we even opened a company. I was like, look, it's got to save them time, right? It's got to be automated and it's got to be intelligent enough to be able to tell them the information they need, right? Those are the 3 key things. And if we can hit those 3 things, then this will be it. So then we started going down and all of a sudden the name Tommy I came up and we were like, oh man, that's great. Let's do that. And then I was like, oh man, the AI side. So, because real AI people hate, that everything is going on AI because 95% of the systems out there, and we're included in that, and I'll tell you that, is the artificial intelligence side, right? Where it's actually, programmed to predict things, train, do all that kind of stuff. Where we call ourselves basically two words in a sense. Our AI stands for automated intelligence or actionable intelligence, right?
I love that.
Because everything that you can get is we create time for you, right? We save you time and create more time to do the people in the process, the two P's on that side, right? So then we either automate things for you because the system helps automate those things that come through that. But then we started using that word actionable, and because of the fact that everything in our system is now actionable, because it's actionable data. It's, anybody can display data that's out there. And I say this all the time. I'm like, look, if you're decent with data, you can hire a couple people, you can download the data, you can do whatever you want with it, and then you just display it, right, in a nicer, easier format than the DMS gives you. But that's not what we do, right? We do it because it's intelligent and it focuses on and sees different things in the system that say, okay, this is what you need to see based on 10 different other factors that are coming in and doing that, right? Now, that's more algorithm based than AI based, right, on that side. But what that ends up becoming is actionable, because now you can see it instantly and act on it, which is key and important, because we make you more proactive than reactive on that side.
That's so cool.
Great. Yeah, it is. Is it raining? Oh, I don't know. I got sidetracked there. ADHD moment. Wasn't supposed to rain. Since we first met and got to know each other, and you said that on our first show, I've used it ever since, because I'm in other rooms with artificial intelligence, the human side, and there's a lot of people espousing AI or not letting people know it's not really artificial intelligence. It is
factual,
automated now, and so our company is that. It's automated. It's it's actionable stuff. I like that. That's new. We do have an artificial intelligence component, and that is the voice that people hear on our videos is AI. Now, at first, we hired somebody to do voiceovers, but boy, that got very, very expensive.
Oh, yeah. And it was slow.
And it was slow. AI is just like, it is a buzzword out there, and I got to tell you, people are signing up and canceling as fast as, because it's just another thing that needs to be managed. It's not even saving them time; it's costing them more time.
Yeah.
Your product doesn't do that.
No, and that's, I'm glad you pointed, because that whole AI, I think most customers now, and especially in the car business, right, it did hit right away, because anything that, if you remember, when it first started kind of really coming out, man, if it had AI on it, people were all over it. They're
it's
like,
only been 2 years.
You know
right?
what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they're like, oh my God, it's got to work. It's got to be great because it's smarter than everybody else out here. No, it's not. It's because it's only as smart as the data that it's taking in, right? So, and the reason why all these other companies like Tesla and Elon, and Chat GPT, that they're smart, is because they have billions and billions of feedbacks that are coming through that they're being able to do. Whereas in a car dealership world, I don't care what somebody tells you, you can have an AI system out there, but it's still only generated from the data that they're giving it.
Right.
And it can only learn that stuff, right? And if you had dumb people putting data in, guess what? Your AI voiceover is going to be dumb.
Yeah, and guess what? I think the AI in automotive is a huge opportunity, but it requires immense amount of data, and everybody's so siloed and don't want to give it up that the AI is only going to work just like what you said. But I hear it a lot. One of the things that people are now starting to realize is that, because you're right, it's AI. Oh, it's got to. I don't have to hire somebody. Somebody can do this. I don't have to manage it. I don't have to watch it. I don't have to do it. They're finding out that none of that is true. It's not replacing anything, and there is always a human side. Someone has to monitor what the heck's going on, or it's gonna get totally out of control. Yeah.
Well, and you brought up a good point about the replacement of people, right? Because we've actually been asked that a lot of times, like, hey, this system, so we put this in, I can actually, potentially, could I get rid of some people? And I'm like, that's not what it's designed for.
Yeah.
It's designed to make the people that you have better. And this way, when was the last time you put a new service manager in? Well, we've had 2 in the last, probably 3 years. Okay, well, did you have anybody ready underneath them to go up, or did you go outside and grab somebody that you needed? And almost always it's grab somebody that's outside, right? Sure. Because they don't have somebody underneath them that's ready to go. Our system, and what I tell them is, so our system will now give you that ability and have people ready, so you're not worried if this person leaves, goes to greener pastures and all that kind of stuff, right? And most times with that AI side, you end up adding more bodies to fix what happened.
Yep. And it's sometimes, listen, I know jobs are going to be lost at some point in time, but more jobs probably will remain, except your job description will include other things that you didn't have before, like robotics and true artificial intelligence. That will be part of your job description. It doesn't mean your job's going away, but it's going to be done in a different way and make you more productive.
Well, and we're
not there yet, but
we are still in the people business, whether it's,
yes, we are.
Whether it's the employees, whether it's the customers, we're still in the people business. So, all these things that come out there, I'm all about evolving, right? I love the fact that maybe you could have a kiosk, right? And your customer can go up there. There's certain people that are okay with that. But the majority of our society, they want to interact with somebody and feel special, that they're taking care of me, right? And they're doing that. And I don't think that's going to go away for a long time, because AI has no emotion. No, it doesn't react. It just goes.
And most of the time, most of the time when you're getting a call or something like that, it's some automated, kind of response type of thing. But I must tell you, because I've seen it evolve too. And it's been 1.5 years now. When I bought this phone, I went on to Samsung and I started out with this chat bot. Okay. And I knew it was going to, in my head, I'm thinking, because of all my experience, it's going to be okay. Let me talk to a real person. Okay. But I spent about, don't know exactly. So I'm just going to, 19 to 25 minutes chatting with this. And at one point in time, honestly, I thought it was a real person, even though it wasn't. But I told them I was military, and could I get an additional discount? And it responded to that. And I did the whole transaction from start to end in that 19 to 25 minutes. And I was so astounded that they have evolved that much. But what I see in the dealership is not that. It's not that. But anyway, it's coming though, isn't it?
Yep, it is. And
are you afraid of it?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, not at all. Because I believe that there's different ways to progress in that, right? And it's not all going to get there instantly. It's going to take time to do that. And the world is never going to end because of it. I just don't believe that.
No.
There's some people, conspiracy theories, that think so. Now, people do gravitate and learn. My wife had said that, ever since you started saying the whole automated side, automated intelligence, she goes, I think you buy into that too much, because every time I ask you a question, it's yes, dear. It's yes, dear. No problem, dear. Same thing, right? She's like, you just became more automated, basically. It's saying
addition response.
She goes, so now you have that word actionable in there. She's like, so could you start making action on that instead of?
Well, I did use your AI, and now I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, so everybody's watching this, I'm gonna use the actionable stuff now too. It's really great. Hadn't heard that one before, and most people hadn't heard the automated intelligence before. I started talking about it, but I've learned a lot, and I'm a novice. And there's been a couple times where somebody said, "Yeah, this guy's an expert on AI." They're so full of crap. There are no experts on AI. No, not at all.
Well, Elon will even tell you that.
Yep. Man, what an amazing talent. I'd like to have him on the show.
Oh man.
I've reached out to him a couple. Yeah, we reached out to him and asked him. You never know, man. You never know. Actually, what happened when I reached out, I get this message from a chatbot wanting me to believe that it's actually Elon interacting with me. Are you kidding me? People believe that stuff, I know. Oh, yeah. My gosh.
Well,
okay.
Let me try to sneak in maybe
sneak it in. Come on.
More questions before our time is up. Do you agree or disagree with this statement, Jim? Do one thing a day that scares you.
Absolutely, 100%. You have to, because otherwise you'll never get out of that, what I called before, the comfort zone, right? And complacency, in a sense. If you don't do something that scares you, yeah, it's going to scare you, right? But here's the thing. once you get through that and past that, you feel like the most powerful person or you feel like the most powerful you've ever been in your life when you get past that time, right?
Very liberating.
And yes, and you got to just continue on, and just, again, it goes back to when you said, what have you learned, and so on. And again, it goes back to the drive, organization, and you just have to have the confidence in yourself, right? And once you have that, going through the scary stuff isn't going to be as hard.
That's a great question, Charity, because you talked a little bit about that at first. And that's kind of the way it was for me, because I was 60 years old when I started this company with Rick, and it's like people thought I was an idiot. What are you doing at 60 years old, starting a company from scratch, from just an idea? And so what I found was most people don't realize that there's two kinds of fear of what you know and fear of what you don't know. Most people live in the comfort zone of when they do things, there's consequences, but at least they know what they are. Correct. I'm talking about stepping to the other side. And I found what you found, and it would exist for all of you. You just have to do it and get out there. Once you get through the walking through that, the people on the other side, they know who you are. They find out about you, and they find out your character, and they said, you know what? I like you, or I love you, and what your ideas are. Let me introduce you to this person. Let me introduce you to that person. They take you under their wing. It's phenomenal. And it's very liberating, and still scary as well. Great question. Once a day, Charity.
That is a great question. And I have this person has became a mentor to me. But in the beginning, with the assistants, he told me one thing that stuck with me before. He said, look, I will help anybody out, but I have to know that you're going to help yourself first, because you can't ask me to do something for you that you didn't try. So if I see you try it and you fail, I will absolutely help you and guide you to get past that hurdle. But if I see that you stopped and didn't even continue on trying, I'm done helping. Yeah. And it stuck with me. Like, I you know what? That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
That is so. My mentor, my first real mentor, multimillionaire, tremendous character and integrity. And he agreed to mentor me. And he said, I'm going to get you so far outside of your comfort zone. I'm going to make these suggestions and stuff like that. You can call me and ask me for clarification. We're going to meet on a regular basis. But if you stop and you didn't even try taking my suggestions, that's the last meeting we're going to have. Absolutely.
And it should be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Last one, Jim. And I think this.
No, we need to extend it another hour. Let's go. I'm just kidding. I can't.
This one ends us on a really good note. If you could offer our audience some advice, whether that be in life or business, what would that be?
I think it's going to kind of go back to what this has all been really about, right? Is have confidence in yourself that you can do whatever you want to, right? You can overcome any challenge that you want to, but you just have to get your mindset to the point that, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do, and find what I would say. I don't care if it's, wanting to be a technician, right? And you want to do that. And we have that stigma of, we need more female technicians, right? And doing that. Well, a lot of it stems from the ground up, in a sense that there's that perception that not to get in there. Well, hey, at the end of the day, if you love working on cars, you love the mindset of what you're doing, just push through it. Have the confidence that it doesn't matter what obstacles are out there, you're going to figure it out. Because as what Russell said, and I told you, I can promise you, whether you're getting into entrepreneurship or you're just trying to get a promotion or be more in what career you're in, there's people out there that will assist you if they see that you are working your butt off to get to that point, right? So don't be afraid to do anything. And again, go back, ask questions. And I'm using the automotive side of it, but this stems for anything in out there. If you're a brand new employee to a service department or even the sales department, right? Most people that fail, which I find, which I've done a little bit of study going out to all the dealers that we do, is the people that fail don't ask the questions. They don't ask their supervisors. They don't ask their leaders. They don't ask them enough questions. They just listen to them talk, but they don't understand it and they don't respond back because they're fearful that they're going to sound dumb. Don't think that way, right? you're only going to get better and you're only going to learn more by asking more questions. Just continue to ask questions in everything. Just do it.
And let them know what you want too. Don't be afraid to let them know where you want to go.
Correct.
Yeah. I think that's so good. Some people are just so reserved. And if you can get them one-on-one, their why is really important. I think it's important to understand. People want more. They really do. They just don't know how to get it. It's people like us, all of us, that when we see them listen, I'm very careful about discouraging anybody that has an idea or a dream. I don't want to discourage them at all. Okay. Because we have enough people saying, you can't do that. I tried that. That won't work. And then they get interrupted by somebody like you and me and Charity and Josh and Patrick who did, that's important.
Absolutely. And one thing in our office now that we have it, and one day maybe we'll take a video and show you. So most companies, you display in your certain room, you have your revenue, your sales, how many you did that, right? We don't have that. But what do we have though? We have a board that has the what we call the wins, and they're not our wins. It's called our clients' wins. So anything that a client calls us, whether it's a sport case and they say it's not about the system, but it's like, hey, I'm having an issue with this, I'm having an issue with this, and we guide them, and then we see that it worked and it did it. We check that off as a win, and a thermometer that's on there. We want that thermometer to pop, right? And we're close to it. And I'm like, so we need to walk past that every single day and realize we are helping people. We're not selling them anything. We are helping them do this. And that's what our staff is about, is just helping the dealers.
That's great. Jim Bernasek, everybody. Then and now, another successful WTF podcast. We're so happy to have you. An entrepreneur extraordinaire. Don't be afraid to reach out to him. And when this comes out, it's going to be everywhere. Like it, love it, share it. Jim, how do people get a hold of you?
So you can go to www.chameleonlimited.com. You can get a hold of us, or my email address is jim@chameleonlimited.com. Feel free to give me a call or email. Go on our website, and we're happy to help you. Even if it's not for a sale and you just have a question and you need some guidance on anything, just feel free to reach out.
And what about LinkedIn, places like that? Are you out there too?
Yep. LinkedIn. Yep. My LinkedIn. You can go to Jim Bernasek. I don't know what my LinkedIn post is or my LinkedIn profile is, but Chameleon Limited, we're on LinkedIn, and Josh Paul is our director of dealer support and engagement. He's there as well for you too. So anything that you need, we're here for you.
Yeah, Josh is an amazing extension of you and everything that you stand for. Great guy. Very talented. Thanks, everybody. Once again, Jim, humbled, honored, and grateful to have you on today. Charity, as always. I tell you what, man, she makes it all happen. So we appreciate you. We love all of you out there. So tune in and listen to Jim and some of the stuff he talks about, because you know what? It might make a difference in your life. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
No problem. Thank you, guys.